President Trump announcing that he will be visiting Beijing in April following a phone call with Chinese President Xi. The two continued their discussions on China's agreement to purchase U.S. soybeans while the U.S. lowers tariffs on China. Joining us right now with more on the U.S.-China trade latest is Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. And Mr. Secretary, thank you very much for being with us this morning.
Good morning, Becky. Good morning, Andrew.
Why don't we start with this latest, what we're seeing right now and what we've heard from this conversation with President Trump and President Xi. The readouts from the two countries were a little different. Obviously, the United States has a very important push on making sure that China does step up its purchases of soybeans. How is that going?
Well, first of all, Becky, to set the record straight, President Trump initiated the call 30 days after the historic meeting in Busan, South Korea, between the two leaders. They have a great relationship. And as far as the soybeans, the Chinese are right on schedule in terms of the cadence of their purchases. Over the next 3.5 years, we're going to see the 87.5 million metric tons purchased by the Chinese, minimum, and they are right on schedule.
There have been some reports coming from China where their take on this talk is a little different. At least what they emphasized in the talks was a little different. They bring up both Ukraine and the U.S. position and the Chinese position on Taiwan. What is the U.S. position on Taiwan at this point?
U.S. position on Taiwan is unchanged. And on Ukraine, President and Party Chair Xi agreed that the peace in this Ukraine conflict, they must move forward, and they agreed to work together on it.
Am I right to think that this is a truce, but maybe a little bit of an uneasy truce at this point? How secure and settled are you feeling with where we stand with China right now?
Well, we have a 1 year, what I would say, pause. And Becky, what I feel very good about is the relationship between the leaders, because when the leaders can have calls like this at the highest level, then bad things don't happen. It was the strong relationship, President Trump showing leadership that sort of calmed things down between the two countries. And look, we're always going to be rivals. We're always going to be rivals. That's natural. But are there things we can do together? Yes. We have the relationship in a good place. President Trump is going to do a state visit to Beijing. Xi is going to come to the U.S. for a state visit. He'll also be in the U.S. for the G20 at Doral. And President Trump may attend the APEC summit in Shenzhen in November. So if there are 4 meetings during the year, I think that gives the relationship great stability, and stability is good for the American people and good for the world economy.
Mr. Secretary, I wanted to pivot the conversation. We've been talking all fall with you about the prospect of the president selecting a new Fed chair. And as we get close to the end of the year, I wanted to get an update as to where things perhaps stand right now.
Yep. So we're going to have the last interview in the second round today, Andrew. We got 5 very strong candidates. I'm impressed with all of them. And Andrew, I'll tell you, one of the things in terms of the criteria that I've been looking for that I have morphed a bit on in the fall when we started with 11 candidates is in talking to these candidates, I realized the Fed has become this very complicated operation. It's no longer just a price setting of money. There's this very complicated calculus between the monetary policy, the balance sheet, and regulatory policy. And we've really emphasized in the interviews what's the interplay for that calculus in terms of the best way forward for the American economy, and what is each person's point of view in terms of protecting the American people, protecting the economy, and moving forward with the dual mandate.
Can you give us a hint? We often talk about the two Kevins, Kevin Warsh and Kevin Hassett, being the front runners. Is that still the case?
Andrew, I'm still got one interview left, so I don't think it would be prudent to give any hints. And I think that there's very, very good chance that the president will make an announcement before Christmas. But it's his prerogative whether it's before the Christmas holidays in the New Year's. But things are moving along very well.